Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm on with the second part of my tunnel book tutorial, and what I thought I would start with today is, if you remember, I did a bit of a boo-boo and went to stick one section of my pages to the other that I wasn't meant to do last night when I got carried away, and it left glue all over this page here. Now, it's not too bad, but I can see that there's glue just around these bits, and as I want to watercolor this area, I did notice on the previous one I did that there was a little bit of glue in one spot, and because it's glossy, the watercolor didn't stick to it at all or color it at all. So I don't want that happening in such a big area that I've got the glue here. So what I thought I'd do to try and fix that is I did have 3 pages, I think, that I had left at the start here, or 4 maybe. It looks like 4. So what I've done is removed one of those, and I just put the page underneath this page I want to cover and just sketched the outline, so I got a rough shape of how big I wanted to cut the window out. And then I cut that out. So I've got it here. I've just got to place it so it looks okay, and then glue that down. And I think that'll, you know, it doesn't look too bad, so I think that'll be okay. But I'm hoping this will fix the problem, and the watercolor should adhere a lot better to this page now. Let's get some down the other side. Okay, and then I've got my little scissors. I'll just trim this tiny bit that's sticking out here a bit. Better. So that's how we've finished up. That doesn't look too bad, actually. I think that'll be a lot better. Now, there are all your little crummy bits sticking out everywhere. I don't mind that. I think it looks quite neat once you've got it painted up. So the next thing to do is a bit of painting. So I've got some watercolours here that my daughter left me. Now, I can't paint at all. That's why I did you know, a background that looks like a 3-year-old could do it, because I can't watercolour paint. I might learn one day and watch some tutorials and that, but I just did what I could. So that's what we're going to do. It's quite easy, relaxing and fun when you're not doing it on camera. Now I'll just get our tissue to blot with, and I've got some water pens. I like using my water pens, so I've got these too. I've got one that's a narrower tip and one that's a thicker one, so that looks like the real narrow one there. So of course I wanted a blue sky, so I started with that and get my thicker one. Now we still haven't stuck all these bits together yet. Let's make sure that I've got, yeah, I'm in frame, so that's all right. So I'm just going to get some water in one of my little trays. I might turn it this way. Just dripping a bit of water in there. Now we're going to need a bit for this first part, so and I might just lighten it up a little bit with some white, if I can get some white. That's kind of more the colour we're looking for, I think. Now, what you can do is get one of the pages you pulled out and trial it on that, so you can see what the colour's like. And to me, that colour looks good. So then I decide where I wanted to start the blue. which I think is about down here. And then I just paint it up. You could use a bigger brush than this, cover it a bit quicker, but I quite enjoyed sitting here with this and just doing this. And then if you want it darker, of course, if you let it dry a little bit, you can always go over it with some more. Now you also want to do, I did like the edges on the inside as well. They don't have to be perfect, but I think it helps with the tunnel sort of look to do the inside edges everywhere. But I'll fix them once I've finished doing the majority of the colour elsewhere. So I basically want to go the whole way along this top section, all up here, and your little back window here as well, like that. So as you can see, I've finished doing the sky. I did rub a bit hard up there. It starts rubbing the book page off when I was painting along. I'm just going to let that dry, and then I might be able to wipe those crummy bits off. And then if I want, I can just go over that a bit more. So you could probably see as I was painting it that I would get more colour out of the palette and add it here and there just to darken it up a little bit. And I went down all the edges and everything, so you can probably see it's not perfect, but it'll do. So I'm just grabbing a wet wipe because I like to clean my palette out with a wet wipe, and that colours the wet wipe. And then when I've finished, I've got a wet wipe that I can use for something in the future. I put them away in a drawer and collect them to do something one day. So what we want to do is leave the sky now to dry, because if we go ahead and do like the ground sections and that now, if this is wet, then they're going to sort of blend in and bleed in, and I don't want that effect. So we will let that dry while we get on with a bit of our stamping. So I've grabbed all the bits that we pulled out of the middle of our pages that we cut. So these are great. These will be going in, whatever we don't use for stamping will be going into my scrap bin for collaging. So, and the reason why the older books are good for the type of thing I'm doing is because the pages are quite thick. So, you know, there was a fair bit of water going onto the book that I was painting before, and it was soaking in quite nicely. So that's why these are really cool to do this sort of thing with. So the stamps I have this set. It's totally tropical, 13-piece stamp set and die. Funny thing was, is I forgot I had the dies, and there I was fussy cutting some of these bits. But anyway, so this would have come off of one of your magazines, I'm sure. Creative Stamping, I think. So you can see I've got the Hummingbird, a Flamingo. I used this, I think it's a Monstera delicosa. I'm trying, guys, I'm trying. And a Hibiscus, and these look like cherry blossom. I don't know what they're meant to be. So I used those stamps, and then I raided my wooden stamp collection, and I found this one, which looks a little bit like Hibiscus. So I used that one as well. So we'll get to stamping what we need of these. So I suppose we will start with our beautiful Flamingo. Now, when I did this the other day, I stamped multiple stamps, and I painted a couple of flamingos in case one didn't work out, and then I chose the one I liked the most. So it's always a good idea when you've got everything out to do a couple. I figure today I'll probably just do like 2 of every stamp or something, more than what I need, and then they can go into my scrap bin as well. If I'm doing a project and I pull them out and I think they'll look good on it, then I have extra. So we'll do 2 flamingos. just grab, I've got my little cutting mat here. I do like the cutting mats or extra pages underneath just to get a better impression rather than the hard tabletop surface. So I've got my archival ink. I've got jet black here. The archival ink is great because it gives a really clear stamp, but also once it's dry, it's not going to run when you add your watercolours. All the things I'm learning from all you guys. So just ink a flamingo up nicely. Looks really good, so we'll do one more while we've got them out. One more for a rainy day. That way, if I really stuff up my painting on one, I have another one that I can start on straight away. Another wet wipe. Rather not use the wet wipe that I'm using for my watercolours for my stamps. Alright, take him off. And then we've got a hibiscus flower that I'll do next. So I'll just put them to the side and grab another piece of paper. Now what I did do was turn things around if I was going to use a few of them to have the text going in different directions. If I put these on the page in different directions, I was going to keep all the text straight. But I forgot that when I stuck things down. I will show you what I mean. So with this one, you can see the text on the flamingo runs in line sort of with the text behind, and that's what I wanted to do overall, and I completely forgot. So this text is upside down and this one's going up that way. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, so when I did do the stamping yesterday, I did turn them around and that, so if I put them in different ways, I'd have one where the text was running the right way the whole way. But that's up to you. Wouldn't be me if I didn't stuff up all the time. So I'm going to do another page of these just so I have extras. I will use 2 on the project. But they're so pretty, and that one didn't stamp too well, so he can be a dud for a collage or something. Should give it time to soak in a bit. Yeah, that's better. Now we will do a hummingbird. Let's grab some more paper. If you hear weird noises, it's my son talking to his friend on his computer. Now, do him like that. Beautiful hummingbird stamp, this one. So do another one down here. And I'll do another one here. Then we'll do blossoms. Now I know we used 2 of those. Another beautiful stamp. That one I didn't ink up very well. another reason why it's good to do multiples. And you can pick the better ones. Right, I think that'll do for that. And then we've got, does it say? Oh no, it says climbing roses, but they look like, the flowers look a bit like hibiscus. I thought it might be roses because it's got these little buds there. It still goes quite nicely with what I'm doing. Now I found my thicker pieces that I cut out at the first level, so they'll fit this a bit better. So we'll stamp a couple of those. Use that one. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. Right, so that's all we need to do with our archival ink. Let's wipe this one down. Now the last lot of stamping I have to do is the Monstera delicosa or whatever leaves. Well, I assume that's what they are. And what I used for that, because they're a solid stamp, I wanted a green, so I found this Stampin' Up! Handsome Hunter green. I haven't used this one before. They're quite fancy stamp pads, these. So I'll grab another piece of paper. Now I'll grab, what I used for this is my stamping platform. This is a Couture Creations Precision Stamp Press. I got this from Auntie Vera Scrap and Craft. Absolutely love it. It's come in very handy for this project. So I'll stick my paper down with the little magnets. They're pretty strong too. And then I'll grab my stamp here and I'll just put it where I want to stamp it. That way, Nat, that way. Close that. Now, why I'm doing this, you know, if you perfectly want to get it exactly where you want it or whatever, then this is really handy. But I'm not doing it for that as much as because it's a solid stamp and I'm doing it onto this sort of porous book page, it doesn't do a clear stamp, so I like to do it 2 times. And this way I can get it exactly in the same spot again the second time. So this, took me a while to figure out how to open these. I think they're ridiculous. I think I slide it. Which way do I slide it? That way. And then open it. I mean, is that really necessary? Anyway. It's fancy. So you can see it's quite splotchy there. So you can go over it as many times as you like, but I found 2 worked last time quite nicely for me. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's pretty good. We can do a third and see what it's like though if we want. Why not? So the press is really good for that sort of thing. So we'll put it that way there. So what I think I might do next is bring our book back. It's pretty dry enough I think to get on with the next colour, which will be our green. So if I can find my watercolours and I can never remember which one's which. I'm going to have to start labelling these things. That's the thin one. So we want to do sort of like a lightish green that I did. I've got a few greens here. I'm looking and thinking, oh, which one was it? So we will find out. So I'm going to put some water in the tray here first. I'll get some of this one in there. I think this one will do. We'll just keep it sort of lightish. I'm just going to trial a bit. I'll dab that off. Just want to have a look at one of the other ones. I reckon I might have used a mix. I did mix a lot of them, so don't ask me what mixes I used. I kind of like that though. I'll get a bit more of that in. And maybe a bit of yellow. Now I'm making a mess of my trays. Don't know if that was. Actually, that colour isn't too bad with the yellow in it. I just want to clean off my yellow a bit. Alright, I think that'll do. So that's the green done. I quite like that. Nice bright green. So again, I'm going to put that to the side to dry while we get on with more of the other stuff we've got to do, which is probably more watercolouring. More of me not knowing what I'm doing. Okay, so these ones can just be fussy cut, which I'll do afterwards. So I'll put them to the side. I might grab our big hibiscus flowers and we'll do something with them first. So for this, I think I used my finer tip. Easier to manage and keep within the lines. Not that it matters too much because you are going to fussy cut. So I like to use a fair bit of, I thought I started with the yellowy orange. And do the outside of the petals here. Okay, this is where I'll get it a bit brighter. Get some orange. Now I've got to remember which is the orange and which is the red because they look exactly the same. I think that's the orange. So I want to take this just around and up into the yellow a bit. And then I went in with the red to just do, actually I'm wondering if I should let these dry a bit. I can do the middle bit anyway. I did that in a darker red. Not that you can really notice. And I also did these little seed bits at the top and the stem in the darker red as well. You can always go over that afterwards if you want it to stand out more too, which I think I did last time. It's a bit better. So that's how I did those flowers. And if you want them a bit brighter, you just like go over them again. But I think that will do. And then it's time for let me have a look. Flamingo. I'll try him next. So what I'm going to do is clean this off. So we wanted pink for him, and I don't have pink, so I used this. It's like a magenta colour. I think this is the one I used. I'll soon find out. And then added a pile of white to it. And just hoped that it became a pink colour. It's starting to turn a bit now. It's almost. There, I reckon that would probably do us. Get a bit more. See how we go with this. It's quite subtle there, so I might need to make it a bit stronger after. Just a bit watery, I think, is the problem. That should be a bit better. Yeah, that's looking better. It's also trying to control the water that's coming out of your water pen as well. But I know a lot of people don't like using them. They just, well, they use the water pen because they like the tip, but they don't put any water in it. They just have a cup of water on the side. I'll probably revert to doing that one day. This is working all right. I do blot if I feel like I'm getting too much water out my pan. That's when I blot onto the wet wipe. But I can go over this again too if I want afterwards. I didn't bother colouring in his beak or his legs at all. I just left him sort of like this. Okay, so I think that's pretty all right. So I'm just going to let that dry now. Put that one to the side. Now we've got the hummingbird. I had to look up online how to colour a hummingbird because I had no idea. So I think for this one I used, is it this green? Yeah, I think it was. don't think it was that bright. So I'm going to mix a bit of this in. Yeah, I think I like that colour a bit better. Although again, it's quite watery, but that's probably my pen more than anything. So we'll do him once and then go over him again. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And then he's got his little rosy cheek. Now, be careful because it's going to bleed probably, but I sort of like the effect of it bleeding a little bit. It's a bit like that. So that's his rosy cheek, and then I think I did a bit of grey. Now I can never tell what's black. Oh, there, first pop. Now if I water that right down a bit, just going to get a bit of a murky grey there, which is hardly going to colour, but I do like just putting a bit of it in his wings, and it will bleed with the green. And I'll do the same on his chest. I think that'll do for him. I'll put him to the side. Looks like it's bled a bit here and there, but I think that'll be okay once we fussy cut him. Getting a nicely coloured wet wipe here. Right, so that leaves us with, we'll do one of those and we've got to do two of those. So we might do these next. And those I did do. Pretty sure it was this nice magenta colour that I used for the flowers themselves. So they're only lightly coloured at the moment. Some of them hardly have any colour. So what I do then is go back in a little bit stronger. Okay, so that's the flowers coloured up on that one. So then I rinse and repeat on the next one. So now I have done the flowers in both of them. So the next thing I want to do is the stem, which I did do in a brown. And that is not brown. I'm glad I test these things out first. It looks brown. Must have been this one. So now I'm going to be careful because it will bleed into the other colour because I haven't really let it dry enough. So I've got to be careful how much I put on. But I just want a light bit that goes up and sort of shows that there's stem in between. And so we did green for the leaves, and then I think it was like an orange for the actual flowers and buds. So we'll start with the orange. Get some water in there, I think. It's quite bright. But that's nice, so let's do that. So again, we need to do our leaves. Let's have a look at that colour. That will do. Now, I just want to touch up this bud here. Oh, crikeys. I'll just get my tissue and blot that. Nearly killed it. Too much water coming out of my pen, I think. Just leave it, Nat. Just leave it. Always happens when you're right at the end, eh? I'm determined to get it a bit darker. There, I'll just leave it like that, I think. That will do. Oh, great. So I think that is all. Now, how many of them did I do? I did 3. I'm going to have to do one more of those. So you've seen how I stamp them. Actually, I think I might have one left over from my last lot anyway. So I reckon I've done all the painting I need to do. Yay! I spoke too soon. Now that this is dry, we better do our dirt. I nearly forgot. So I'll go back to my thicker water pen and we will do our brown dirt area. And that will be all of our painting. So, did I use this one? I don't know. Did I? I don't think I did. I think I used this one. Maybe I used both. No, I do think I used this darker one. should work. All right, so we're just going to go down and finish off like we did the other pieces and do this bottom area here with our brown. Okay, now finished with the painting. So I'll set that there to dry. Pages might stick together a bit, but you can usually pull them apart quite easy. I think these are meant to come apart. Yeah, there we go. I'll go do this fussy cutting. More fun.